We're starting now.
Our project is Light My World. I am DeSando.
Oh, you want me to
This is,
Scott?
I'm David.
and we're from Bench 11. Next slide. Our requirements were 2 features, the Ninja mode and the Light to Digital Translator. For Ninja game, the user will see an LED, a red LED light up, and he or she must cover the corresponding sensor to continue the game. If they get it wrong, then the game stops. If they get it right, they continue. For the Light to Digital Translator, it's basically a user will input up to 4 bits, 1 bit at a time, and then it'll let you know if you got the password right. And it's basically to input a password without leaving your fingerprints. That was the idea behind it. For the specifications, upon power up for both modes, the instructions show on the screen for what the user needs to do. For the Ninja mode, the user will play the game, and then once the game is finished, the current score and the high score will show up on the computer screen. For the password mode, they enter the password, and then the computer screen will let you know if you are locked out, which means you got the password wrong, or if you got the password right, you can enter.
Let's start this off. Alright, so for the hardware hookup that we have, using the Arduino board, we use most of the ports that were available. Port D was mostly just used for our red LEDs as a general input-output pin, right here. And we also have 2 blue LEDs that you'll see later, and those are just mode indicators showing you whether you're playing the Ninja game, and one of them has a use for it there, and then the other one is to show that you're in password mode. The LDR here is the sensor, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Use 4 of them for the 4 corresponding red LEDs that Nikki described. And other than that, we also have 3 buttons. They correspond. They have different functionality that we'll talk about a little bit later. And other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. David will explain the software.
The architecture for the software was actually really simple, even if the implementation was not. Every time, just start off, say, what do you want to do, gives directions how to do it, and then you either press one of the buttons to say, I want to do password mode, or the other one to say, I want to play the game. Once you go into that main loop, tells you how to play, and for password mode, enter a number using the 4 bits, and until the 4 numbers have been inputted, you just keep on doing that, pressing the button to say that the input's done. Once that's done, it says if it's correct, go right on back. If you go into the game mode, it's similar on paper. Instructions, and it says lights up some LEDs, you put your hands over it. If you do the correct hand motions, it does it again just a little bit faster. If you get it wrong, it tells you your high score and puts you back in the main loop.
Alright, and as I was describing on the last one, this is an example of one of the LRD sensors, or light resistive diode. We have 4 of them on the board, as you'll see in the actual demo later. Their functionality is a little bit interesting to implement. They act as a resistor, and it compares the ambient light taken in at any point with like another comparison at another time. And it basically lets a certain amount of voltage go through to the Arduino board, and we use the analog digital converter, ADC, to convert that to something that we can use. Our LEDs, I explained, are the game, and depending on what mode you're in. The button usage, we originally were going to design it with 1 button, but as we were developing it, we found out that it'd be more efficient if we used all 3 buttons to make the game a little more easier to play. I already talked about the port configuration. Port C was our LDR or LRDs, sorry, and we use the just general input from those. We use the PuTTY console display, as David will talk about, and then what Mickey was talking about earlier, at the end of each mode, or at the end of the Ninja game mode, the LEDs will flash indicating that you've either lost or just given up.
The display for our game ended up being a lot of text that we were going to have to display, which really wouldn't work on the LEDs, or the LCD screen, which honestly would have been a pain anyway, just because there's so many wires. So we ended up using the UART to display it on the main computer screen. And it displays instructions, score, password, high score, just everything. It ended up being a lot easier in the long run. The sensor code was basically completely stolen from our last project. Our last project was just making the sensors work, and it just checks the temperature, the resistance of the diode, and says if it's above or below a certain number. There are certain numbers that ended up being 650 that basically meant if you were below that it was dark. Even if the lights were off, the ambient light from the sun made it pretty constant. Game with password mode, it's an if then. We had 3, be a switch case. Timing delay for the game. This is actually hard coded in. It starts off at 3 seconds the game is a reaction test like whack-a-mole. You get 3 seconds to put your hands in the right configurations, and if you do it right again, then you lose 10th of a second. You do it right again, you lose 10th of a second, damage your 10th of a second. So after you're at like 30, it's really hard. Anti-cheating. This is a question that always came up. Of the few people that we showed it to, on our board, there's 4 LEDs, 2 of them light up, and someone's like, well, can I just cover all 4 of them? No, I check the ones that are off too. High score, save it to a variable. It's not that complicated, but it's a feature, so here it is. It displays on the screen.
And as for our testing conditions, I believe what we specified in our proposal was that on startup it had to work pretty much 100%, and it does, as we'll demonstrate. For 100% startup, as of right now, nothing happens until you press one of the buttons as the instructions say on the screen, because you don't know which mode you want to go into, whether you just want to ignore the game or you just want to go into password mode. It's up to you, but it does work 100% on startup. For the Ninja game, as we were describing, it's like whack-a-mole. So if you keep on hitting the moles or keep on covering the sensors, it'll keep going until it's practically impossible. 0.3 of a second, you need to be really quick. And or if you intentionally fail the game just to see what your score was, or just to get that condition, that's how we tested that. For the password mode, there's pretty much only 2 cases: whether you input the correct password, which we've given you because there's no way of knowing the correct password, and it'll display a little dialogue on the console. And if you haven't put in the correct password, there will be another dialogue saying that you haven't, and the screen is locked. With that said, is there any questions?
Thunderous applause erupts from the audience.
Well, we got a demo.
Oh.
Maximize this. The little lovely press the red button to be a ninja, or press the yellow button to input the password. So we'll just start out with the game here. David, do you want to play?
Oh, that just sounds amazing. I'll go up to like 10, then I'll challenge anyone to get to like 30.
All right, go ahead.
So red LED, you light it up. Blue light says you're done. 2 LEDs, light them up. Blue LEDs tell you're done. Let's say you get the wrong one, got it right. Light them all up at once, doesn't work. Gotta only have the right one. And then it gets progressively faster. If you do it fast enough, you can't really tell because it cuts it short. Just because we found that starting off at 3 seconds got really, really boring. So it just, after you get it right, you have 1 second reprieve to remove your hands, and then, well, it plays again. Not that complicated. And then, says, yep, you lost. So I got 14. That was my score and the high score. Anyone want to try and beat it? You guys live exciting lives as well. The next part is this. Press the yellow button, enter the password. Gives you the instructions, says enter password. So this is the least significant bit, most significant bit. So, 1, 2, 4, 8 would be 12. You press the blue button to say would be 15. I can math early, and it'll tell you what number you put in. And again, completely. So you can put in whatever that is. I'm not mathing anymore. 10, boop, boop. 3, 0. Incorrect password, locked. Then you can press yellow button again. What was it? 1, 2, something?
1, 2, 9, 11.
1. Let's see if I can math. 2, 8, 9. Boop.
And then
8, 9, 11. Correct password. System unlocked. Welcome, Mr. Bond.
well, Mr. Bond.
That is our fun.